Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And there we go. We are off. We are ready. Another brand new live edition, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. We're going to be with you until 9 a.m. on a Thursday morning. And a lot to get to today as well. A lot of fun stuff on the docket today. Coming up on Saturday, Alabama's going to take on Austin Peay or Austin Pay. However you want to say it is up to you. Still, that game will be at 11 a.m. kickoff inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Here is, no matter how you want to call it or who you want to say, the fact is there are 3 games remaining in the schedule for Alabama this season. You got the Austin Peay game Saturday, the Iron Bowl the following week, and then the bowl game. Those are the last 3 games that we are going to see Bryce Young, for sure. I mean, that's it. We are down to 3 games. Now, does he play in the bowl game? We don't know. That'll get debated after the Iron Bowl. But Bryce Young will play on Saturday. Probably won't play a ton because it's a great chance for him to get a little bit of rest if Alabama can put this one, put some points on the board early, which we expect. But how should we look at Bryce Young these last 3 games, and how do we look at his time in an Alabama uniform?
I mean, wildly successful. National champion. I don't care if he was a backup. 2-time SEC champion. One as a starter. A Heisman candidate this year. He won't win it, certainly. They got 2 losses. But 2 losses by 1 point, and he put his team in position to win both those games. The narrative that it was wasted because he was their best starting quarterback ever and he wasn't a starter for a national championship program is garbage. It's just typical national media bull crap because they want to take shots at Alabama. The guy's a great player. He's more than done his job. Has the supporting cast been as good this year from a skill position standpoint? No. Did injuries last year probably cost him a national championship as a starter? Yes, because he had 2 NFL receivers, one the best receiver in the draft, and certainly in Jamison Williams. And don't forget a couple of injuries at corner too. One of them in the NFL, or really both of them in the National Football League, they both played well. Or one of them played well, I should say, in his last game against Georgia in early December. The other one was actually hurt for the majority of the last part of the last month of the season. So before deciding to still turn pro and is now with the Baltimore Ravens. So again, Alabama had a great team last year. They didn't finish. Georgia, they won the national championship. Injuries are part of it, but Bryce got them there. Bryce won the Heisman. He rightly won the Heisman Trophy. So people trying to say that he was wasted is ridiculous. Now, the one question you do have is because Alabama is still going to have some guys drafted, in the first round, like a Will Anderson, like a Bryce Young, But, I've even seen Jahmyr Gibbs. I was told yesterday he's in some mocks in round 1. Brian Branch is a high draft pick, potentially a second-round type guy. So the interesting part's going to be how many of these guys play in the bowl game if they're considering coming out.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. If you're Bryce Young, just Bryce Young, if you're in his camp, I mean, how do you treat the pending bowl game, which, by the way, depending on which board you look, they're either in the Sugar Bowl or they're in the Orange Bowl. I mean, it
would be a New Year's Six. Yeah, I mean, it would be one of those, no doubt about it. So, they would. The thing is, I know Bryce right now. In one mock, he was going number 1. The other one was going to the Las Vegas Raiders, number 2. So if his stock is that high, you wonder if he'll even play in the bowl game. Now, what you could do if you're Bryce, you could use it to get completely healthy and then to put on a show in the bowl game and to make a statement to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Because, again, it's a quarterback-driven league. There are some people that are, still saying, well, is he tall enough to be, completely effective? I mean, please just shut up. I mean, come on. Kyler Murray's shorter than him, in my opinion, and he's not having a good year this year, but the guy just got $30 million a year, and then Drew Brees. I mean, one of the all-time greats. The height doesn't matter nearly as much anymore, and so again. Nobody was talking about his height last year when he had the two, NFL wide receivers to throw to all season long. And a lot of people that have sense still think he's done an outstanding job this year, even though his numbers aren't as good. But again, Alabama just doesn't have the big play vertical threats. Last year, they made more explosive vertical plays. They haven't this season, yet Bryce has still put his team in position in every game to win. And played through an injury. He didn't really get injured last year. He's shown some toughness this year in being there for his team. Certainly did miss over a game because he wasn't in the lineup against Texas A&M. That's why I still get amused with that too. Well, how can Alabama struggle against Texas A&M? Well, for one thing, they didn't have their quarterback, and the guy that started for the first time ever, played a big part in 3 of the 4 turnovers. Okay,
yeah.
They had 4 turnovers. That's why they allowed ATM to stay in the game.
And I know we malign Jimbo Fisher a ton, but
and we should because he sucks.
He does. But the one thing he does know is Alabama's system. He knows what Nick wants to do. I mean, as much as he does, he's got problems. He's got issues. It
wouldn't matter what he knew if Bryce Young were healthy. Their asses would have got cleaned, and they would have lost by 24 points. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not. They're not even a football team. You can't even call them that. They're
right now. They are. They're 11
just an
guys on the field playing.
All worried about their NIL deals. All worried about their name, image, and likeness. And it's just that's all they're worried about. And I mean, again, Jimbo's going to finish 4-8. I mean, they'll beat UMass. UMass is 1-9. I mean, I wish UMass would beat them. I think it'd be hilarity. But I mean, I gave them too much credit in the offseason. I said they were too talented not to go 8-4, and it's going to be completely reversed once LSU thrashes their ass in College Station. It's going to be 4-8. So, and then the bloodletting will begin, and then it's going to be like when that deadline hits and the transfer portal opens, just keep hitting refresh, seeing how many Texas A&M Aggies are headed out of town.
I only dread not just Texas A&M, but I only dread looking at that transfer portal, seeing the names that are going to go in it from all schools all across the country, because it is going to be a massive list. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of names, a lot of starters on that transfer portal list. And I mean, it's going to be. And
I'll just warn some of these starters,
several teams,
that the grass ain't always greener on the other side. So you may not.
No, it's not.
You may end up transferring and it doesn't work out. So you better be a little careful with some of this stuff. Now, and with the Texas A&M situation, I can understand it. I mean, first of all, you don't even know what your offense is going to look like, because certainly Dirt Neck's going to have to make changes to his staff and probably take some speech lessons so he doesn't talk as fast so they can actually understand what he's saying. And then and again. They may even, who knows if DJ Durkin will come back. They may make a change defensively.
What would you do if you were a quarterback at Texas A&M? Because I don't know. Connor Wigman is starting now. Haynes King was the starter. Yeah. Max Johnson was a starter.
You almost have to wait and see what he does like on his staff. Yeah. And now one or two of those guys may not. They may just get out of town because they've realized that right now the playbook's from 1998 and he's not developing me very well. And so it may. The most interesting take that I heard yesterday, and I believe it was on the Chuck Oliver show that you can hear from 10 to noon every day live, is what may matter more to Kiffin is the people that are going to be in the portal. Like, as far as everybody's talking about, well, is he going to decide to go to Auburn or not? He may be waiting to see, hey, in December, how many of these 5 stars that I've taken verbal shots at are going in the portal, and can we get some of them?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because
the talk yesterday too was the fact that if he does look at Auburn, it's $14 million or $15
or
million.
if he goes to Auburn,
stuff,
then they'll have all this NIL money.
Yeah, he could sit there, look at the transfer portal, and say, I could get that guy, and that guy because Auburn has X amount of dollars in name, image, and likeness that I can dole out.
And see, with this transfer rule the way it is now, if you had to sit out for a year, it wouldn't be as big of an impact. Now you could say, well, okay, in 2 years we're going to be pretty good, but now you don't have to sit out. So Lane's made reference to it all year, free agency. He brought in 20 free agents last year because his whole backfield either transferred or went pro. And so he's like, okay, well, I've got to go get Zach Evans, and then they recruited Quinshon Judkins, and then they got the young man from SMU. And so they totally remade their backfield. But the young man from SMU has barely played because Quinshon Judkins has become a freshman All-American. So you just never know how it's going to work out. I mean, look at Jermaine Burton. He hasn't put up as good of numbers at Alabama as he did at Georgia.
Yeah.
And he's played, with a Heisman caliber quarterback. Sometimes these guys just are who they are, and that's not elite. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do. 256-576.
I wipe my brow here, and sometimes you're just not elite.
256-576-4977, and that's what started the conversation was Bryce Young, and elite he is. If you look at the last set of quarterbacks, Bryce Young, Mac Jones, Tua, Jalen, how do you – I mean, I don't want to rank them. That's not what we're doing. But where would you – I mean, Bryce created his own narrative, his own legacy at Alabama.
All I'll say is what you can say without ranking guys is if it hadn't been for Jalen, then especially Tua and Mac, there would be no Bryce.
Okay.
He would have gone to Southern Cal. Hell, Tua might have. But Southern Cal, thank the Lord, was a dumpster fire. I mean, just like that whole state, and which is now finally at least Republican. Isn't that a shock? But
because Bryce, Mac, Tua, and Jalen, they were all kind of different in their own skill sets, right?
Well, I mean, they are to a degree. I mean, Bryce is kind of all of them into one, so to speak, because really Tua used his legs, but he's more of a pocket guy. Same way with Mac. And then you could say that Bryce stays in the pocket for the most part, but he has shown dual threat ability. By far the best runner was Jalen. Right. But he also had the farthest to come as a passer and improved in college by the time he got through his third year at Alabama, and then he went to Oklahoma. And so that's just the way it is. I mean, certainly, I still think certainly Jalen put up great numbers at OU, but you have to give Alabama the majority of the credit for developing him because Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley, they wouldn't have brought him in to start if they didn't think he was a really good player.
Two of the most accurate of all.
I mean, because Lincoln Riley, when you look at all the quarterbacks he ran through there during his time at Oklahoma, they're all these are guys going number 1 overall, winning Heisman trophies, and he saw something in Jalen that he really liked, and certainly Jalen's proven him correct as he got them to the playoff. They won the Big 12. Now they got smoked by the national champs, but he was still a second-round draft pick, and now he's a starter for the team with the best record in the NFL, so there's not a whole lot you can say. I mean, he ended up making the most of his opportunity, and it certainly helped enhance Lincoln Riley and helped Lincoln get to USC. And so we'll see. Now, do I think USC is going to win the national championship this year? Why, hell no.
No.
I mean, I don't think they're nearly that good.
Their run could end Saturday.
But,
UCLA.
we'll see. But now they're going to get better. They should. I mean, with Lincoln recruiting. And until they change the rules in NIL and in the state of California, I mean, they're already paying the high school kids. Some of these agents, which is crazy. But we've talked about that before.
All right, Lewis with us this morning. Good morning, Lewis.
Good morning, fellas.
Morning, Lewis.
I think Bryce Young is the best quarterback out of that bunch.
I mean, he may very well end up being so. I've said at times that I thought with the comeback he had against Texas, with some of the plays, the Auburn comeback last year, the performance against Georgia in the SEC championship game. Because I'll even say this: even last year, with that when that team was for the most part healthy, I still don't think it was as good as the 2017 and 18, even 19 Alabama teams from an offensive standpoint. So he's elevated those around him. So you can make a strong argument that it would probably be for Bryce, then Tua, then Mac, and then Jalen for me. I think that's but they're all doing really well, and Bryce will be. I mean, Bryce will start in the NFL, but the other three are
just their college resumes. I mean, two of the most accurate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but when you look at what he's been doing, it goes unnoticed, honestly, because y'all's number one receiver is y'all's running back.
Yeah, it has been for much of the year. Yeah,
and that goes unsaid until they really look deep into it. They just keep talking about Alabama this, Alabama that, and I've been saying Alabama is not the same team from last year.
No, they're not.
Even when they were winning, when it wasn't look like they were going to lose, I've been saying it because I saw it. And Bryce Young is a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
They've been saying Bama is the second half team. Well, now with the NIL deal going on, the transfer portal, everything has kind of sort of been leveled out. So I was going to show who's who, and he continuously showed that he is that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed. There's no question about that. And this year, the portal additions have not been as good. Gibbs has been, but certainly when you look at it, Eli Ricks has not been in the lineup for much of the year. Now once he gets in the lineup, he got hurt. Tyler Harrell has not played much at all, coming in hurt, and then not being able to grasp the playbook. And then we just talked about Burton. Burton's been okay, but he certainly hasn't played at an all-SEC level. So, again, Bryce has had to kind of make chicken salad out of chicken, even with Alabama. And Alabama still has one of the better rosters, and an offensive line that I think is better than last year, but it's still not near the 2020 group that Mac Jones played behind.
Correct. But that was my opinion on it. And, I'm not an Alabama fan.
Right.
I'm strictly LSU, but you got to call it for what it is. That guy is amazing.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Thanks, Lewis.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of Tyler Harrell, I mean, when it was announced, hey, I'm in the portal, I'm going to go to Alabama, expectations were this is going to be a big-time receiver coming to Alabama.
I was hoping he would make big plays vertically. I didn't expect Jamison Williams, and quite frankly, I thought Burton could be a 1,000-yard receiver and maybe not be the same style as a John Mechie, but have the same kind of impact, and he hasn't.
Did we read the room wrong on them, or did they underachieve?
I think, with the Harrell, you just had – when you looked at it, he didn't put up great stats at Louisville, but he had, from the standpoint of near 1,000 yards receiving, but he averaged a lot per catch.
Right.
But again, you didn't realize how healthy he was when you got him. You didn't realize, how big a jump it truly was going to be because he didn't enroll early in the spring, and the playbooks are completely different. With Burton, it's another different playbook with Georgia, but he had played in the SEC, played against Alabama, made plays in big games, and he enrolled in the spring. So you're thinking, okay, this is a guy that will hit the ground running. And he had a couple of touchdowns, even though they were short TDs in game one. You're thinking, okay, he's getting his feet wet, he's going to start rolling. And it just hasn't quite clicked. I mean, for whatever reason, now it might click next year. I don't know. But I will say this. I think both of those dudes, Jamison coming in from Ohio State and then Mechie, who was already there, they had dog mentalities. They played each and every snap like it was their last. They were intense dudes. They stepped up in big games. Ain't none of these dudes done that, except for Ja'Cory Brooks. And Nick Saban called him a dog yesterday. Said he's been a dog and made plays. I didn't hear him say anything else about the others.
True.
Because I think we've had too many kerthunks and drops and bad routes and other things. So where Bryce has to scramble around and do a whirling dervish and a 360 and then throw it up, and somebody has to make a play. So
256-576-4977. Coming up here in just a second, we're going to get to some Kentucky football talk. Because why not? Will Levis,
Oh Lord,
was the number one pick. He was what people thought Bryce Young was going to be. All right, let's get out to the phone lines. Brandon with us real fast. Good morning, Brandon.
what's up?
Well, y'all were talking yesterday, some good food, and I was in a meeting. I could hear it in the back of the room. We got a Whataburger over here that's open beside Kennesaw State,
Uh-oh.
and there was more people trying to get into that thing than was trying to get in the UCLA game last weekend.
Good Lord, did it just open?
I think it opened last Friday.
Yeah, that's what it is then. Because trust me, when it opened over here on the Parkway, you couldn't get in it for the first month or so.
Well, when I was in Vegas, they've got the In-N-Out burger there.
Oh, did you eat it?
And-
Did you try it?
Yeah, I went over and ate it, and if you want to eat, you better go at about 11 o'clock in the morning
Oh,
because
Lord.
you ain't getting in that place at night, and you ain't getting out of it. By no means. They are lined up all the way to the strip. We were standing there looking, and I said, there's got to be 500 people trying to get into this place.
Wow.
And the last day we were there, we went at about 11:10 in the morning, and there was about 50 people standing outside on a Thursday morning trying to get in the place. And I went there and ate, and I thought it was good. It wasn't stand outside that deep.
Yeah.
And I've never had Whataburger, so I'm gonna try it at some point. I tried to go in it down here a couple weeks ago before it opened, and some of the frats down here had stole all their cones, traffic cones, and people were pulling in, and they finally put people out in the parking lot to tell people we're not open, we're training. People were jerking on the doors, and they got the police to come down there and sit and block the entrance to the parking lot to keep people from coming in. So, people get crazy over some burgers.
So
They do.
So did
They
you have
think
animal?
they do.
Did you get it animal style over at In-N-Out Burger? Scott keeps telling us about this.
No, I wasn't aware of that when I got up there. I got one. I got a burger with cheese and fries. I didn't get anything spectacular.
Yeah, because they don't
I was
advertise
about
it,
to
so you gotta
exactly.
just say it.
It's like a secret code.
It is.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I wanted to get bacon and chili, and they were like, "No, we don't do that." No.
Oh, they don't do chili.
What?
There you go.
No, I didn't. I thought burger places bacon and chili would be like page one of the recipe, but I guess not.
Well, and you are a resident Christmas tree cake expert, and it was a big, huge topic on the show yesterday. And as you heard Josh Pate, he does not care for them. Have you ever had the chocolate ones? Because I haven't.
Oh, yeah, I got like 3 boxes of them. My wife went and got a bunch, and I actually got a picture. I'm going to try to send it to y'all. My daughter went to school, and the lady that lives on the front street, she's friends with my wife. That's her kindergarten teacher.
Right.
My daughter was actually reaching into her book bag, pulling pieces of it out, because I gave her one for good behavior and 100 on her spelling test. And
There you go.
she come home and told me, she's like, "Daddy, I picked a big word. I can spell Alabama." And she was digging Christmas tree cake in pieces out of her book bag, sticking it in her mouth, eating, and then she had it stuck to her face. And Susan sent me a picture, and she said, "I wonder where she learned this from." And I was like, yeah.
Well, I mean, I've never had a chocolate one for some odd reason. I've only had the white,
I didn't know
the
they
chocolate.
had
Yeah,
chocolate. Yep.
Scott didn't even know, so I've got to find some.
Well, they got these giant boxes now. My son comes in and shows me this video, and the cakes are bigger.
Yeah, I found a big cake at the gas station, but it was the white one.
Well, there's a video where the one is Little Debbie,
Yeah.
and then they put the big one next to it, and they call it the Deborah because it's all grown up.
Yeah.
Got kind of a chuckle out of that. But the supply of them now is exhausting. They put them out right there at Halloween, and now you can't find them anymore. Same thing that happened last year.
Oh,
They
man.
put stuff out too early.
Yeah, they do.
You still get white fudge Oreos.
Yeah, I got some of those.
Fantastic. That's some really good stuff. So y'all have a Whataburger in Tuscaloosa?
Well, we
Yes,
have
there's
one
two
here.
of them.
We have
there's
one
one
here in
here,
Huntsville.
and there's been one being built, like Scott said, another one, and then there's 2 in Tuscaloosa.
And then there's some on the
And
way.
then
There's some on the line. There's some down on 65 as well.
Yeah.
And Bucky's opens next week.
Buc-ee's opened on the 21st. It already the one in Athens, I believe.
Well, the 21st, that'll be in 4 days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hot brisket on the board. That's always a great phrase to hear when you're inside the Buc-ee's.
It is. All right, Brandon.
Thank you, man.
Call,
Appreciate it.
Hey, when you go to In-N-Out, you would like this because
Right.
you would walk in and you tell them that you want a 3x3 or a 4x4.
Well, okay, what's a 3x3 and a 4x4? What kind of code is that?
3 patties or 4 patties?
Well, I'm not going 4, man. That's like 2 burgers. I want that.
Anyway.
I've had a triple somewhere, a couple places, though, but I don't know about a quadruple or whatever the hell.
Well, speaking of one, Bryce Young could be the best quarterback, maybe, taken in the draft. We know, but Will Levis was projected to be that. Didn't live up to that, I don't think, especially after that loss to Vanderbilt. John Hale will set the record straight on just where Kentucky is heading into this week's game coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Good morning. Still looking really good. No wrecks, no stalls, no traffic signal problems. Enjoy the break while you got it, but be careful. Put some extra room in there so you got somewhere to move to if something goes wrong. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Men, are you having performance issues in the bedroom? Is erectile dysfunction affecting your confidence and self-esteem? Is your relationship being impacted? If ED is a problem in your life, maybe it's time to make the last time you had bad sex the last time you'll have bad sex. At the Huntsville Men's Clinic, we've successfully treated many men in the area for ED and given them back their confidence, their positivity, and in many cases, helped their relationships. Our expertise is second to none, and our practice is staffed by quality medical professionals. Beyond this, the treatments we use have proven success rates as high as 90%. And unlike online pharmacies that just sell pills or wave clinics that only offer one treatment option, we have a variety of treatment protocols, including acoustic wave therapy. We found that sometimes a combination of therapies works best, and a one-size-fits-all approach can't get you there. So make the call. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. Call 256-368-0333 or go to HuntsvilleMen'sClinic.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Attorney Tommy Sinyard on behalf of Sinyard Law, and again proud to be a sponsor of all things football here on ESPN Radio. My son Bart and I started our own law firm July 1 and are very proud and excited to be bringing you our 50 years of collective national award-winning injury trial law experience. Check us out on the web, sinyardlaw.com.
Sinyard Law, nationally recognized, locally respected.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And when we were running down the schedules last week of SEC games and we were going over the spreads and the favorites and everything, I have to admit, we just kind of glossed over the Kentucky-Vanderbilt game because the way Kentucky had been playing, I get it. We
never saw it coming. I certainly didn't.
I don't think anybody saw that coming. We just kind of glossed over it. Okay, Kentucky's Vanderbilt. All right, Kentucky can get everything back on track. Not that they were off the rails, but they can get everything back on track. And they can get a W in the column because Vanderbilt had lost 26 straight in the conference, and then the unthinkable, if you are a Kentucky football fan, happens, and Vanderbilt upsets you, and now all of a sudden they want to start asking questions. Okay, where is this Kentucky football team? What happened? How could this happen? Where did it go wrong?
Well, first of all, to me, it's a credit to where Mark Stoops has taken the program that everybody's so alarmed at what happened.
Yes.
Because it's not just about going to bowl games now. It's about breaking through, having a chance to, win an SEC championship. Of course, expectations that it's not out of the realm of possibility each and every year to get to a New Year's Day bowl game. And definitely the bottom of the barrel is going to a bowl game. Definitely not having losing seasons and definitely not having a shocking loss to Vanderbilt, as it's been a decade at the helm of the Wildcats to become the winningest coach in the history of the program. That's what was so jarring about this past weekend is they lost at home and to Vanderbilt, 24-21. And we're going to talk with our next guest. We last spoke with him in August. He does an outstanding job. He's been with us, for many, many years now, as one of our best sources when it comes to Kentucky football. He is now with the Herald Leader in Lexington, and that is John Hale, and he's been good enough to join us this morning on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. John, welcome back to Huntsville. You're with Drew and Scott. Good morning.
Morning, guys. How are you?
We are good.
Good, John.
And I know you have followed this program for many, many years on the beat. This was probably, to me, since now that he has built it into what it is, probably the most shocking loss we've seen from a Mark Stoops team.
Yeah, no, I think it's his worst loss since he's been here. I mean, they lost to Southern Miss in 2016, I think. That was obviously a bad one.
Yeah.
There have been some embarrassing performances in there. But in terms of expectations and the opponent and all of those things, I think it probably goes to number one on the list just because it's a season that started with so much hype and so much excitement, and now you've got 2 games left and you're fighting to finish it, better than 6-6 to guarantee that you have a winning record depending on what happens in your bowl game. So it's kind of all systems failure, especially the way they played in that game. The offense has struggled pretty intensely for most of the SEC schedule at this point, but the defense has been good. The offense was bad for most of the game, but they finally do get the go-ahead score in the fourth quarter, and you think, okay, here it comes, and then the defense falls apart and gives Vanderbilt their game-winning drive at the end where they had 2 fourth downs and couldn't get off the field. They had an interception turned over by a penalty and on that drive. So it was just ugly all the way around, and so there are difficult questions being asked this week, and I think Mark knows that. I think staff changes are probably on the table in terms of his assistant coaches and where they go from here, but it has not been the season that they hoped it was going to be back the last time we talked in August. And that because of his success, like you said, the standard is higher now. Being 6-6, being 7-5 is just not the expectation. It's not good enough to say that's definitely a successful season now. So if they're going to take that next step, they've got to figure out some things.
How much have the injuries to Will Levis kind of taken its toll on this offense?
Yeah, it's been a huge part of it for sure. They thought going into the year that the offensive line, they had figured out enough things there. I mean, they lost 3 starters from last season, 2 NFL draft picks, including their center Luke Fortner, who is one of the best rookie offensive linemen in the NFL this season. So, but they thought they had some things figured out there to where, if nothing else, they could scheme around and cover up any issues as the young guys learned on the job. There were injuries on the line throughout camp, so those guys never really got any practice time to play together, which I think started them off on the wrong foot. The 2 starters that you brought back are both at new positions, so that didn't help. And so the line has been so bad, the protection has been just awful. Will Levis has been sacked 33 times, I think, now on the season. And those hits have just mounted up. I mean, at Ole Miss, October 1st, he dislocates his middle finger on his non-throwing hand in the first half, has a foot injury, find out later it's turf toe, misses the next game against South Carolina, does come back, and then in the first game he's back against Mississippi State, he gets hit again and either dislocates or sprains his non-throwing shoulder. So it's just been one thing after the other, and the turf toe is the main thing, which is an injury that just doesn't get better until you rest it for a significant amount of time. And so, like, for instance, 2 weeks ago when they won at Missouri, he was back in the walking boot after the game talking to us, and he can do a lot of things, but his mobility is just not there. Which was obviously a huge part of his skill set a year ago, and they just don't have that right now, which I think adds some issues in other areas, just magnifies some of their other deficiencies when he can't, on 3rd and 8, when nothing's open, break down and scramble for a first down. That's a problem, and that's where the offense is right now. Is sometimes they're sustaining drives. I mean, they had a 14-play drive against Vanderbilt that they didn't get any points out of. Because when they get to the red zone, they're stalling out, and their field goal kicking has been terrible. So either you're settling for a field goal, or a lot of times the field goal is not even guaranteed. And if you're going to play this style of offense where you want to control the clock and have long possessions, you've got to get points out of those, and they're just not doing it right now.
Well, it seemed like that Liam Cohen did such a good job with the offense last year, being an NFL guy. So Coach Stoops goes back to the well for Rich Scangarello. Has it just not been as good a fit? What's the prevailing opinion of what's happened with the? I know Levis's injuries have played a big part in it, and then of course Rodriguez getting suspended the first 4 games. That certainly didn't help. But what's the thought with the OC situation right now?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think it will be a surprise if he's back next season. I mean, there was a lot of thought maybe they'd make a move after the game on Sunday. Or
wow.
Mark Stoops pushed back on that and said, no, I'm not going to do anything in season. I'm not going to make a knee-jerk reaction. Then we went to practice Tuesday, and one of their reserve wide receivers, their probably 4th receiver, comes out and talks to us. And I asked him, I said, what kind of stands out to you in the red zone struggles right now? And he kind of paused, and he said, well, I guess the play calling. And I was like, oh, okay, that's not a great moment. That kind of gets things blown up a little more right now. So it's not pretty. And I don't think it's all Scangarello's fault by any means. I mean, he didn't recruit the offensive line that's been so bad. Like, he inherited that. And so even if Liam Cohen had come back, that would have been an issue this year. That's a problem. I mean, he wasn't here when Chris Rodriguez got in trouble to get suspended for 4 games. The Will Levis injuries, like you mentioned, are part of it. They have really talented freshman receivers, but those guys are freshmen, and the last few weeks have made some mistakes that come with inexperience. And so that is all part of it too. But I do think the one area that it's fair to really criticize Scangarello and might ultimately lead to a change is Liam Cohen brought this offense from the NFL that Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan and all those guys built, and he at some point last year adapted and said some of this is just not fit to our personnel. Like, they wanted to run the wide zone run game was a huge part of the offensive scheme, and he realized that they didn't have the offensive linemen to block it. The running backs weren't very comfortable there, and so they kind of abandoned it partway through the season. Rich Scangarello did not do that. He has been very adamant that that's what the offense is built around, and so that has been a problem. there were other areas where, like, Will Levis didn't run a ton the first half of last season. They didn't use a lot of design quarterback run, but at some point Liam Cohen said, this is one of his best weapons. We're going to have to incorporate that. And then you see the regular season finale last year, he rushes for 100 yards and 4 touchdowns against Louisville. Scangarello has been very adamant even before Levis got hurt that he does not see that as being a huge part of his offense. That when he needs to run, he can, when plays break down, but he was really talking, dating even back to spring practice, about the need to protect Will and extend his career and not take unnecessary hits. And we know that Levis, part of his real appeal is he jumps over guys and he lowers his shoulder and runs through players. And it was clear that Scangarello didn't want him doing that just to protect him. And I think that probably backfired because they made him into this kind of statue pocket passer to sit back there and just get hit when the pass rush comes. So I don't think that he's adapted to the personnel as well as Liam Cohen did. So that's part of it. I think that maybe he could still be successful here if, he got adapted to the college game, learned some of these things, took some lessons from this year. But the offense has been so bad, and the way that the calendar sets up now to where we're 3 weeks out from the transfer portal window opening and a month out from signing day, you got to worry about getting your next wave of offensive players in. They got to find a replacement for Will Levis at quarterback. But even more importantly, you got to figure out how to keep guys like Barryon Brown and Dane Key and these young offensive players who show so much promise here, and not have the powerhouse programs around the country come in and poach at them in the transfer portal. And so I'm just not sure they can come back from how bad they've been. He's got 2 games left, so anything could happen. They could go out and play what I don't think anybody thinks they could beat Georgia, but if they played respectably and then had a big performance against Louisville in the finale, maybe that would change things. But as we sit right now, I would be pretty surprised if he's back next year.
And John Hale with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline talking Kentucky football. And John, head coach Mark Stoops did touch on the transfer portal after that loss to Vanderbilt. Obviously, he's got to recruit his own players back, but how active will Kentucky be in the transfer portal and bringing guys in?
It's huge. I mean, he described it as having 85 free agents. So first and foremost, they got to figure out keeping their own guys. They did announce a new NIL collective this week, hoping to help some of that. And so maybe that helps retain some guys. But even if you keep all of your young players on campus, there's some real holes in this roster they've got to go out and fix. I mean, I asked him Monday. It took years for the offensive line to get in this spot for a number of reasons. Real life things, as Mark Stoops described them. I mean, John Schlarman, before he passed away, was sick for 2 years, and it's clear that the recruiting on the offensive line took a dip, and they're feeling the effect of the 2019-2020 classes right now, not getting the offensive linemen they were accustomed to. So if it took years to get here, can you fix it in a year? And Mark said, well, that's where the transfer portal helps. That's not how it was when we got here 10 years ago. Now you can go out and add guys. I'm skeptical that there are a bunch of SEC caliber offensive tackles sitting out there in the transfer portal. Like just for instance, last year, Tyler Steen, who went from Vanderbilt to Alabama, Kentucky was convinced for a long time they were getting him. And then Eric Wolford, their offensive line coach, left and went to Alabama, and Tyler Steen committed to him at Alabama. And so, like, if there's only 1 or 2 of those guys who are SEC level starters, they're going to have every team in the conference is going to want those guys. Can Kentucky really rebuild its line that quickly in a year? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are adding like double-digit number of transfers this year, like like a program like Ole Miss did, because they have significant holes that they need to get some veterans in and fix.
No question. And, John, as we're wrapping it up with you, this is John Hale again from the Lexington Herald-Leader covering Kentucky football. What is the best-case scenario in the end game for this season? Certainly, of course, an upset of Georgia would be epic. We're not expecting that, but they certainly think they can beat Louisville, and that would be a 7-5 season. What are the bowl possibilities for this program?
Yeah, it all comes down to that Louisville game, and which is why I think it's important that you don't get embarrassed this weekend against Georgia, because coming off the Vanderbilt loss, if you go out and get blown out again like they did against Tennessee, what's the energy level? What's the buy-in going to be for that Louisville game? It's going to be a problem. And then if you lose against Louisville 6-6, you're not going to really have any say to where you go in a bowl game, and it could get kind of desperate there. But if you beat Louisville, you're 7-5, and let's say Florida loses to Florida State, Mississippi State loses to Ole Miss, all of you are 7-5 in that pool of 6 bowls for the SEC, and Kentucky's going to have a really good shot to play in the ReliaQuest Bowl, the Outback Bowl, whatever you want to call it, in Tampa, which was kind of the best-case scenario before Vanderbilt. So that's still on the table if things play out well the last 2 weeks. But if they don't, there's a chance you could be in the Music City Bowl, which is not a bad trip by any means, but the problem is it starts at the exact same time as the Kentucky-Louisville basketball rivalry game does this year. And so you're going to force your fans to have to pick which one you watch. They're probably not going to travel very well because of the basketball game. That would be a bad scenario, especially with all the summer, basketball school feud stuff between Calipari and Stoops anyway. I don't think they want that to happen. Maybe they go to Vegas. That would be a fun trip for your fans and your players, but it's December 17th. So do you really want to spend the week before signing day at a bowl game, not, recruiting players to get it better for next year? I don't know that they do. So the options get pretty complicated, especially if you lose to Louisville that last game.
No question. And how is the relationship with Stoops and Calipari right now?
I think it's probably pretty frosty. I don't think they've hung out much or talked much since the feud this summer, but they both have their own issues right now. So I think that they're probably just keeping it in silo and trying to figure those things out. And maybe at some point in the summer they'll get together and have a powwow.
Yeah, well, great stuff as always, John. Thank you. Let everybody know how to follow your coverage of the Big Blue Nation.
Yeah, all the stuff's at Kentucky.com, and then it's John Hale, JONHALE _HL on Twitter.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
All right, John Hale with us. Good stuff there.
Well, if they go to Vegas, though, they could go to In-N-Out Burger. You're just showing us these pictures of this animal style and these doubles. You know what I'm saying? You know how many patties they'd have to cook for this football team, though? Good Lord, it would be a zoo. It would be. All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll get to your phone calls, 256-576-4977. Lord.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck in Athens. This one's 72 in Jefferson. Lots of blockage there, so it'll take a few minutes to get that one cleared out of the way. Everything else seems to be moving along pretty good this morning. You be careful on that trip in. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Welcome back. Stan McDonald from the Stanton Law Firm. I had lunch with Lewis just recently and with a client of ours, a mutual client, and great to hear all the good things going on at the Stanton Law Firm.
Thank you, Wes. The Stanton Law Firm, as you know, we've discussed before, we're dirt lawyers. We do a lot of real estate, litigation and closing. And, yes, my son, Lewis McDonald, enjoyed meeting you a couple of weeks ago. And a couple of your friends, he is, as you know, he's opened up a commercial closing division. So he's really helping a lot of people who are trying to close, buy, or sell on their commercial property. And you can't be in this community doing business without knowing Wes neighbors.
I don't know about that, but sure was getting to meet another McDonald and talking a little bit about his grandfather, Coach Dye, and the different things. It was a lot of fun.
Well, your listeners are really going to enjoy meeting Lewis and you in this community. And like I said, at Jacob Title or the Stanton Law Firm, we close business. We do some good commercial closings, residential closings. We appreciate being part of your show.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Alabama A&M University football. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com and view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see ya in the Kia. Go Bulldogs!
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on two services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatewitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey Wes, our company Fleming Roofing and Restoration specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough we can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey Wes, we show up.
Did you know the state's top-ranked private school is here in Huntsville? What about one of the nation's few Orton-Gillingham Academy accredited schools? At Randolph School, our experienced teachers and coaches challenge and nurture students as they prepare for college and life. Our pre-K through 12 school includes Green Gate School at Randolph, serving students with dyslexia. Parents, we know that you are your child's biggest advocate, and we invite you to explore your education options. Schedule a tour at randolphschool.net.
Christmas is approaching fast. This year, don't wait until it's too late to find the perfect gift. Hurry into Bob Wallace Appliance to take advantage of our Black Friday sale, now through November 30th. We have the brands you know and trust, like Whirlpool, KitchenAid, Maytag, and GE. This holiday season, we want to thank you for buying local. Visit us in Huntsville, Florence, Coleman, and at BobWallaceAppliance.com. That's BobWallaceAppliance.com.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Closing in on the end of hour one so far. We've talked about Bryce Young. Where does he land in the lore of the Alabama quarterback in the last 3 or 4 that have started? The Mac Jones, the Jalen. Where does he end? And we've kind of said it's all those. His body, his talents kind of blend into every one of those. He's like all of those combined into one. We've talked some Kentucky football, and we've talked a little bit of food again on the show. I know, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the program. You can get in if you want to this morning. Richard with us right out of the break. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys. You're talking about Bryce. One thing, too, is that, basically you got to think with Mac Jones and Tua, they never had a drop pass.
Yeah, pretty much.
They had set offensive linemen every week, the same linemen. Like I said, Judy and Ruggs, those guys, they didn't drop passes. Irv Smith. You got to think what Tua went through last year and changing offensive linemen, and and then the last 2 years you haven't had a consistent running attack.
Yeah, you have.
Like this year, I think we may be leading the SEC in rushing, but it's all 90-yarders. You can't get a 2-yard run.
Yeah.
We're sitting at 2nd and 9, 2nd and 12. Where it's a passing down on 2nd down, where they're coming after him out there. So it's a slam dunk for Bryce. Compared to the talent those other guys had, and just like you were talking about earlier, Drew, the running wrong route, just not even comparable.
No, it's not. And again, when you look at it, I think that you bring up a good point too, Richard. Certainly, there was a lot of injuries to the backfield last year. B-Rob had a good year, really good year, but the backups behind him were decimated with injuries, especially Jace McClellan, who was starting to assert himself. So Bryce has not had the supporting cast, but he certainly still played at a very high level. There's no doubt. But I was going to ask you, since you went, how was Mobile? I guess you spent an extra day there, but how was the Mitchell Center?
Well, that's kind of debatable. I was back in Gunnersville at work at 11:30 yesterday.
Wow.
We stayed a little bit north of Mobile, so you got on the 65. There's no town.
Yeah.
Until you hit Montgomery, so nothing to stop you. So I think I was back outside of Birmingham in under 4 hours. So. So they do have a gigantic campus there. Nice arena. So and probably half the crowd were Bama fans. At the game, and I know I saw you talking about it yesterday, but really good defensively and rebounding. Bad shooting night, and I guess turnovers are bad, but they were unforced.
Yes,
trying to do lobs and full-length court passes, which are correctable, versus if you can't dribble the ball with somebody on you and they steal it from you, is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
To me, all these errors are correctable.
Yeah. And
I got a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
Do you guys need to? You need new sponsors like Christmas Cake and Whataburger. You guys are to get out.
Yeah, we
bring In-N-Out Burger into Huntsville. You guys. Wes is going to have to get you guys, in gear out there. You guys need to get all these food companies as all their clients on here now.
Yeah, we've kind of really we've glamorized In-N-Out, Whataburger, and the Christmas tree cakes the last.
We both are kind of mystified with the Christmas tree cake thing, but
I don't understand the craze.
I've never had one.
See,
there we go.
There you go.
See, he's never had one, yet the craze is big. All right, Richard, thanks for the phone call.
Thank you, man.
That's going to wrap up hour one.
Yeah, In-N-Out and just In-N-Out. I've just all heard about all the hype, I can't try one because your son can't FedEx us one overnight.
I asked him to do that.
Oh, did you really? So we have. Oh, my Lord!
I asked him to do it. His response was, "Well, Dad, I don't think that'd go over so well." So my money is going well spent for education.
There you go.
He is,
or to drive 2 hours to Chick-fil-A.
He is thinking outside the box. I just don't think that would go over very well. He goes, "You want me to FedEx a burger?" I said yes. I don't think we'll get a burger.
No.
Do you know that your car or truck or SUV may be worth up to 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and now is the perfect time to trade in, trade up to a gold certified or blue certified pre-owned car, truck, SUV, or crossover. While our new vehicle inventory continues to build back, our Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles are nearing 100 models to choose from, and a good variety too. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles are 6 years or younger with less than 80,000 miles and have passed 172-point inspection by factory certified technicians. They have a 14-day, 1,000-mile money-back guarantee, a great comprehensive limited warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and go home with full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Get nearly a new ride and none of the worries. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan Spartman. Hope to see you soon.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning from the Traffic Center. Hearing of an accident now on 72 in Athens at Jefferson. That one's apparently no injury, but they are reporting lots of blockage there. The $6 big box is back at Popeyes with 2 pieces of that hand-breaded Louisiana seasoned chicken, 2 sides, and a buttermilk biscuit. Popeyes, University, and Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
NBA tonight, the Hawks hosting the Celtics. Atlanta getting 2 points on their home floor. The over-under set at 232.5, a 6:30 tip-off. UFC 282 set for December 10th, featuring the lightweight bout between Paddy Pimblett and Jared Gordon. Pimblett comes in as a -190 favorite, Gordon at +155. College basketball in the SEC tonight, number 22 Tennessee looking to bounce back after being upset by Colorado, hosting Florida Gulf Coast. The Volunteers a 21.5-point home favorite. 9th-ranked Arkansas -14 at home against South Dakota State. Red Hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you for just a little bit longer. We've got one more hour of the show to go. A lot of great conversation to get through in this hour. In case you missed hour number one, or in case you missed anything of hour number one, we talked about Bryce Young. Where does he fit in as far as the last four quarterbacks go for the University of Alabama? Where does he fit in, in that lore? We talked to John Hale from the University of Kentucky about the Wildcats and just how they rebound from that loss to Vanderbilt going forward. And, of course, we talked about our food conversation that has been ongoing and will continue, I'd imagine. But the Heisman Trophy is obviously
wide open.
It is wide open. And I saw an interesting article, and it is – Hendon Hooker has done everything to win the Heisman. The only thing that would have put a cherry on top probably is beating Georgia.
Oh, if he had, he would be the runaway choice to me.
Because they would be in the SEC championship game.
Yeah, they'd be number one.
And Hendon Hooker would have another game in the SEC championship game to make his case.
Yeah.
All Hendon Hooker really has left is 2 games. And those are stat padding games,
is
what this article says.
Against Kakalaki and Vanderbilt.
Yes. So you look at C.J. Stroud. Now, do I think Hendon Hooker and C.J. Stroud, Drake May from North Carolina really has some of the bigger numbers. And quietly, North Carolina could be in the ACC championship game as well. But has Hendon Hooker made his case? And does he have any more chances to impress the Heisman voters? Or is this going to come down to, because Hendon Hooker is not playing in the SEC championship game, Hendon Hooker is handicapped and will not win the Heisman Trophy?
No, I mean, I just think it's wide open right now. It also depends how, because Stetson Bennett could get back into the conversation. But Stetson didn't play great against Florida, which didn't help.
Right.
I mean, he didn't have a great completion percentage. He turned the ball over. See, because with the start he got off to, 300 yards passing per game, he was being mentioned as a dark horse Heisman candidate. And then even Bo Nix. But then what happens? They go out and throw up all over themselves and lose to Washington.
Yeah, Bo gets hurt, leaves that game.
Yeah.
And it's the same ankle that he –
well, that's what I'm saying. So, and he's already on the West Coast anyway, which hurts because you don't see these cats. And so it's just like, man, that's just rough. And so I'll be honest, though, Bryce Young would be the favorite to go back-to-back if Alabama kicks a field goal against Tennessee or the officiating's competent, and then, they get one stop defensively in the second half against LSU. And I know his stats weren't great against LSU from a completion percentage standpoint, Scott.
Right.
But bringing his team back to win, throwing for 328 and whatever, he would be probably the front runner because Alabama would be number one. But again, it's going to be really interesting because I think last year, going into around this time, it was still pretty wide open. But when Bryce had to come back against Auburn, when everything looked lost, and he brought Alabama back to win in the overtimes, and then he followed that with just a dissection of Georgia, who was the number one team runaway train last year, you knew he was going to win it. Now, there's not really a chance to do that with Tennessee, and that's what you're talking about, because they're not going to have the extra game.
Yeah, they don't have that game where everybody's going to be watching you.
Yeah. Now here's the one that here's the two guys to
what
me.
If C.J. Stroud loses to Michigan?
That's what I was going to say. To me, the two dudes to watch down the stretch that are going to get the showcases, whoever wins between Ohio State and Michigan, I'm talking about like C.J. Stroud, Blake Corum, the running back for Michigan, who's got, what's he got, Scott, about 1,400 yards?
Yes.
Something like that. Whoever wins that game, to me, could jump.
Corum has 1,349 rushing yards, 17 touchdowns.
And C.J. Stroud's had a really good year.
2,800.
He has 2,800 yards passing.
A little over 2,800, 34 total touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Hendon Hooker, by the way, 3,293 yards, 29 total touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Drake May, I did not know these numbers.
Yeah, his numbers are amazing, but the problem is they haven't played anybody really, and that's what's hurting him.
3,996 yards passing, 39 total touchdowns to 3 interceptions.
And speaking of the transfer portal, his whole family, Luke May, all of them, his dad, his uncle, they all went to North Carolina, and yet there's still these rumors out there that he may try to go somewhere else because North Carolina's football program isn't highfalutin enough. I mean, there's even been talk about him going to Alabama because he committed to Alabama before North Carolina.
Yeah.
But Carolina's under the radar. They've only lost one game.
They could be in the ACC championship.
Yeah,
game.
and he could lead Carolina to a championship. And you just mentioned his stats.
3,996 yards.
What if he leads his team to an ACC championship and throws for 1 billion yards in the championship game?
And beats Clemson.
Yeah, and beats
because that's who it would be. It's North Carolina and Clemson.
I think we understand that. I don't think Carolina's got a chance to make the playoff though because because their schedule's been so weak and they lost to Notre Dame. So I don't know, man, but I still think you got to watch the Michigan Ohio State with Corum and C.J. Stroud. Now, if Stroud throws for 450 yards and they beat Michigan, he's probably going to take a huge jump where he could be the favorite. But if Corum runs for 200. He could. Now, I'll just say this. It would have been a lot simpler if Tennessee had just beaten Georgia, but they didn't. They got the hell beat out of them.
Yeah, because then Hendon Hooker would be the runaway favorite right
Instead,
now.
Hooker only threw for 195 yards in that game. And because Hooker had a great game against Alabama, of course, it should have been a 2-interception, 4-turnover performance for the offense, but Mo, Larry, Curley, and Shemp blew it. But, I mean, that's been, ad nauseum talked about. But, again, I think Hooker would have been the front runner if they had just beaten Georgia because they would be number one in the country. But since they got drilled, I just think it's wide open. And to me, the guys to watch are Corum and Stroud. But you bring up a good point about a sleeper guy like a Drake May who's put up all those. Like, who does North Carolina have left beside? I know it's weird. They don't play Duke like at the end. They play Duke like toward the middle of the season. They don't play their like rivalry game at the end. So is he playing anybody high profile before they would play a Clemson in the ACC championship game? That's the question.
Well, let's look at it here.
Yeah.
Well, of course they have Georgia Tech.
Yeah, who they'll drill.
NC State.
And that's the last two games, right?
Yep.
Before the ACC championship.
Yep.
Now
and
NC State's pretty good though.
they're not enough for the Heisman. They're not enough for the national landscape to sit there and say.
But they're ranked, though, right?
I don't think they are anymore.
Are they
no,
not?
I don't think they are.
Well, they've been ranked for much of the season. They were at least one of the better teams in the ACC.
Yeah.
So,
unfortunately, they're not one of those teams where you're going to sit there and say,
well, I mean, no, it's not,
my bad. They are in the latest playoff
that's what
rankings,
I thought.
They're number 24.
See, so at least they're still in the poll.
So he would have two
back-to-back
ranked
potentially
teams, yes.
So
to make his case, because outside of that, you're right. They have not played. I mean, they had that 63-61 game at App State.
Yeah.
They beat Georgia State barely, 35-28. They 45-32 lost to Notre Dame is stinging.
Yeah.
They beat Virginia Tech by 31. They played Miami, Florida, won by 3 in that game, 27-24. They won by 3 against Duke.
Yeah.
42-24 over Pitt. Won by 3 against Virginia, 2 against Wake Forest.
Yeah, Wake Forest was a true
Georgia
shootout. Yeah.
Tech and NC State. 36-34 was the Wake Forest game.
I mean, I think they're going to drill Georgia Tech, but it's going to come down to NC State and if they can beat NC State. And that is a rivalry game still.
It is.
At the end. So we'll see. If they can go, 11-1 and reach the ACC championship game, then maybe Drake May can and I also heard this would be the coolest NIL deal to have, but I heard he signed one with Jordan.
Well, North Carolina, that would
well,
make
of course,
sense.
but I mean, he probably gets a lot of gear, man.
Yeah, that would make sense. It's the only place you're going to get that if you're the quarterback for North Carolina. I mean,
no, but he might even get some personal
sense.
stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's on like Drake May type stuff.
Yes. But you're not going to get that if you go in the transfer portal and go to another school.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Jordan might still keep him. He's a high-profile athlete here.
Yes, but he's at North Carolina.
I understand that. I mean, unless or if it was in Alabama, like what if Alabama signed with Jordan? Now, I'm not saying they're going to, but I mean, I don't know in their Nike contracts.
Mac Brown can pick up the phone and say, "Hey."
Well, I would be shocked.
You to help me out here with some NIL
well,
stuff.
I just really be shocked if he left, only because I know they're not like a playoff contender according to a lot of people right now, and they're not from the ACC. But they've had a really good year. He's put up video game stats, and his whole family went there. That would just be surprising to me.
Let's see here. Who did? I think was it. I just saw this. Josh Pate. Josh Pate must be listening to our show.
Nice.
Because he literally says, and I quote, 8 minutes ago, Drake May isn't going to win the Heisman because too many voters haven't watched a single UNC game. I don't know
But
if
he told us on the show yesterday, though, that he has watched him, though. He goes back and watched him.
I'm not saying he's listening to our show, but I'm just saying it's a coincidence that he just puts this out there.
Yeah, he did, but he mentioned that yesterday, talking about Drake May. He's like, I have gone back and watched this dude. And he goes, he's the real deal. And so, but he's right. I mean, there's just not enough people that have seen him. But the one point that remains is they are still a one-loss team. They still could go to the ACC championship game. And
they are going there. And they have clinched it.
And that's what I'm saying. And his two biggest games are coming up.
Yep.
You've got NC State and you got freaking Clemson. So can you win those games? I mean,
I think people forget too. Remember, Gene Chizik is the defensive coordinator now.
We were making fun of Gene at App State because they gave up 40 in a freaking quarter. How do you do that?
Yep.
Lord.
Yep. Old Gene Chizik. Wolverine Dan with us now on the phone lines. Good morning, sir.
Well, good morning. I know the one thing it doesn't matter. I know you're going to hate when I say this, but really, you got to agree with me. The Iron Bowl doesn't matter as much as the Michigan Ohio State game.
No, not at all. It means a lot in this state, but nationally, no, it doesn't. It doesn't mean nearly the Michigan Ohio State game, you could argue, may be the biggest regular season game of the year. That and Georgia Tennessee with what was at stake, but this is probably right up there with it.
Well, and then of course, we've got a guy that could possibly be in New York. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, I mean, he might not win the thing, But I'm speaking of Blake Corum. I think you should at least be sitting in one of those 5 chairs. Don't you agree?
Well, we just talked about that. I mean, he's got his opportunity, if they beat Ohio State, to make a huge jump in Heisman Trophy voters' eyes. Now, I will tell you this, Dan, it's dangerous. I've been saying that Ohio State and Michigan could both make the playoff, but you better hope TCU loses, because if TCU doesn't lose, then the loser of that Ohio State-Michigan game could get left out. You better hope Baylor can knock TCU off.
Well, the TCU has Baylor, and then after that, then they have the Big 12 championship, right?
Yeah, they do.
And I think we said there's like 4 teams that could possibly turn around and face them again. Baylor being one of them. I think Kansas State is in that mix as well. There's like 4 teams.
Well, the dangerous part is in neither Ohio State or Michigan, but especially Michigan, just the schedule strength is not in Michigan's favor. That's why they need to beat Ohio State. Well, I mean, if you beat Ohio State, you ain't got anything to worry about, because I think whoever wins that game is winning the Big Ten championship game in a romp, and then you're in. So you don't have to worry about it. But if you lose the game, it could be a little nerve-wracking.
I'm thinking about taking that weekend off and get a couple over-the-road trucks and get me a bunch of you ever see the ski slopes where they put that fake snow on the slope? Yeah, I want to snow the whole place out.
Wow.
Get a bunch of gusting winds, so it's really nasty weather. And that way, I think that's if the weather's nice, sunny, we're done. They're just too quick. They're wide receivers and everything.
So you're wanting snow that we saw in the MAC.
Well, I want to see what Northwestern's weather. Look,
the rain. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was awful. And then Corum, our running game, our offensive line is strong. And actually our defense, Drudy, I think our defense is playing really well.
Oh, I mean, again, the winner is going. I mean, to me, it's a lock. I still think there is a chance that they both could go. I still think there's a chance it could be 2 SEC and 2 Big Ten, but you got to have TCU lose.
Yeah.
If TCU loses, because I still don't think, we were just talking about the ACC, Dan, Clemson and North Carolina. I don't think they have enough to me, I wouldn't vote for them over Georgia, Tennessee, Michigan, Ohio State.
And for TCU, right now, it's looking like it's going to be Kansas State. All Kansas State has to do is win at West Virginia and Kansas.
And West Virginia's getting ready to can their coach.
Yeah, and they are in the Big 12 championship game. Now, there's other scenarios for Texas, Oklahoma State, and Baylor.
Oh.
But the simplest solution, it looks like it's going to be TCU and Kansas State.
Yeah.
Well, Kansas State, right at the end of the season, it's really coming around. So, I think they're going to give TCU all they can handle.
Yeah.
So we'll see, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's not a lock to TCU. I'm not expecting TCU to run the table, but if they do, looking at how the committee has voted, they're going to be in.
Yes.
So I'm going to pose this question and I'll get off the phone. Now, Michigan for the last 2 years has been relevant. So
yeah,
is this program on the upswing with Harbaugh? I know
you have to say it is.
Harbaugh probably to you, Drew, falls as number 2 as the most hated coach because you don't like Jimbo at all.
Oh Lord, I would take Harbaugh all day over Ryan Day. I can't stand Ryan Day. He's a peckerhead.
Well, there we go.
Wow,
anybody that worked for Urban Meyer, and Harbaugh
called him by his real name.
But you said a liar. Yeah, I should have.
Well,
I've been too busy calling Jimbo a liar though, because he never tells the truth.
In Canada, with a peckerhead, that in their translation, it's called hoser.
Oh, okay. He's a hoser. Okay.
Hoser. Yeah, hoser.
Yeah. All right, fellas, listen, I'm excited, man. My boys this weekend. Hey, we can't overlook Illinois. They've had a good season this year.
Yeah, but I didn't realize they'd gone to the crapper as bad as they have, though, Dan. They've lost about 3 out of 4 or something?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but still, it's a trap game. Sometimes you don't want to over. You got to play the games in front of you and then go.
Poor Bert.
Yeah, poor Bert being on
listen, fellas, all I know is that my Philadelphia Eagles, Can you believe that comeback? And can you believe the end of that game?
You're talking about the Vikings, man. Your Vikings where you got the money on them.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
You said Eagles, man.
I was like, how many teams does he have?
Come on.
Wait a minute, fellas. We're talking 4 big ones. Okay, that's a lot of cash. I mean,
No, but you put it on the Vikings, and that was an unbelievable comeback. I thought about you.
I don't even know how that happened. Still don't even know
Unbelievable.
how Josh Allen
it was
fumbles.
very simple. The girl behind the counter didn't want to deal with me. She's having a bad day. She was very rude to me. I gave her 100, and I thought I was getting ready to say we'll put 10 on. I was going to put $10 on 10 teams, and
Detroit.
then she just took that $100 bill and just cashed it in on the Vikings.
There you go, but that may have been fate, Dan.
Well, it hit us 40-1 with $100 figured out.
Oh,
yep. There you go.
You're already retired. You might now you might have your own suite at Michigan.
Whoa, listen, Drew, you get good at that, Drew.
He's getting there.
You look some good in some blue and gold, brother.
I had some when I was a kid.
There you go. Well,
Thanks.
That's why I like you.
All right, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Wolverine Dan.
Well, I sure as hell didn't have any Ohio State stuff. I can tell you that.
Oh, I didn't either. I did not like Ohio State because when it was the real Big Ten, the original Big Ten, not this
when it had 10
State,
teams,
Rutgers, and all this other crap in there.
Right.
Iowa had a hard time getting past Ohio State and Michigan because you would play them every year.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the Purdue's, the Minnesotas, the Wisconsin's was awful. Not until Barry Alvarez got there. Wisconsin.
They were terrible.
They were laughing. It's like Northwestern was just laughable
until Gary Barnett won all those games.
And so you never really feared anybody. You only feared
Ohio State and Michigan.
Iowa could never play well at Indiana.
Yeah.
And they could never play well against Michigan and Ohio State. Those were the big games. If you got through some of those, then the Rose Bowl. I mean, you.
But
felt
Bill
like
Mallory,
you were going,
Bill Mallory was underrated at Indiana.
Yeah, Iowa always struggled there at Indiana. The Big 12, though, by the way, I was mentioning Kansas State.
Yeah.
Texas still has a shot. They need to win out against Kansas and Baylor. Plus, Kansas State and Oklahoma State lose at least one more game each. Oklahoma State can get there if they win out, if they beat Oklahoma and West Virginia, but they have to have Kansas State lose both. Baylor can get there if they beat TCU and Texas, but they need Kansas State to lose out and Oklahoma State to lose at least one game. So the best odds fall to Kansas State to get to the Big 12 title game by just winning their next two at West Virginia and Kansas.
And what's interesting, before we go to break and then welcome Jake Crane on the show, and this is just, you're talking about the Big 12, and I was looking at this headline last night. Texas leaving the Big 12, as we know, for the SEC in a couple of years. They beat the hell out of Gonzaga last night in basketball.
Yes.
And then the Big 12 let it leak that they are in heavy negotiations with Gonzaga, and there's a lot of mutual interest. So they may go to the Big 12.
They've been talking. I think Bruce Feldman put that out about a month ago that they had been
it sounds like there's some traction to it.
Yeah, that they've been talking about joining the Big 12, which would be interesting to get Gonzaga in there. All right, let's get that break in. Jake Crane will join us, get his thoughts on the Auburn coaching search, get his thoughts on college football, get his thoughts on the Heisman, all that and more with Jake Crane next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
One wreck in Athens, 72 in Jefferson. Lots of blockage there, but as far as I know, that one was and no injury. Everything else is run super smooth this morning. I don't see any other snags for you. You be careful on the rest of your ride in. From routine care to heart failure, Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Christmas is approaching fast. This year, don't wait until it's too late to find the perfect gift. Hurry into Bob Wallace Appliance to take advantage of our Black Friday sale. Now through November 30th, we have the brands you know and trust, like Whirlpool, KitchenAid, Maytag, and GE. This holiday season, we want to thank you for buying local. Visit us in Huntsville, Florence, Coleman, and at BobWallaceAppliance.com. That's BobWallaceAppliance.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
There's nothing like celebrating the holidays with family and friends, and there's no better way to do that than to celebrate at Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. And if you haven't tried our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness, then head on down and try one of Bad Daddy's award-winning burgers now. And you can pair them with one of our signature cocktails or a cold draft beer from our huge selection. Make your holidays extra merry with a trip to Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway between Bob Wallace and Governors.
Ad paid for by the Sentinel Group. Attention parents with a child diagnosed with autism or severe ADHD. A recent congressional study found dangerously high levels of toxic heavy metals like mercury, lead, and arsenic in many popular baby food brands. Brands such as Gerber, Plum Organics, Beech-Nut, Walmart, and more. Some contain toxic metals 200 times the maximum safe levels set by the FDA. Heavy metals in baby food are known to be severe neurotoxins, and exposure to them at a young age can cause lifelong brain damage and neurodevelopmental disorders like autism and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. If you fed baby food to your child and they were later diagnosed with autism, autism spectrum disorders, or ADHD, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Call today for your free consultation. 800-715-2037. Don't wait. Let our experienced attorneys fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call 800-715-2037. That's 800-715-2037. Again, 800-715-2037.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey Wes, our company Fleming Roofing and Restoration specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey Wes, we show up.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to Talking Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you until 9 a.m. And what a great conversation it has been to kick off hour number 2. We were talking the Heisman race and where do you stack?
Wide open.
Where do you stack everybody? Who are we not talking about? And one of those guys was Drake May. We've talked a lot about C.J. Stroud. We've talked a lot about Hendon Hooker. Where do they fall into the race? But really, we have not talked about Drake May and North Carolina. And Drake May's numbers are fantastic as far as a quarterback goes. Almost 4,000 yards through the air. And North Carolina has 2 games left.
Yeah.
3 games left, I should say.
And they're 2 biggest in the start.
Yeah.
We're talking NC State and then potentially the ACC championship game. We're going to talk some college football with our next guest. He's here with for his weekly segment. He's part of the national sports radio show presented by the Real Daily Wire. It's Crane and Company, one of the fastest growing shows in the United States of America. He, of course, has joined us throughout his journey up the ladder in the media business, and, of course, was with us in Atlanta, which seemed like 2 days ago, at the College Football Hall of Fame. It shows you how quickly the season goes by, but we always enjoy talking with Jake Crane, and he's with us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline for some of his great takes. Jake, how are you?
Guys, I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, man, this season just flies by like it always does.
Yeah, it really does. And then you bring up an interesting take, though, and we've kind of been talking about it this hour, and it was one of your takes on, of course, on Crane and Company that we really haven't talked about a lot. We talked about TCU, of course, if they went out, they're in, but we haven't really talked about UNC much at all. And so we've kind of been touching on UNC. Their schedule strength isn't great. They did lose to Notre Dame, and it was a significant loss, but Drake May has put up Heisman-type stats. He hasn't really been being mentioned as a Heisman candidate because I guess North Carolina's kind of been off the radar. But as you talked about it, there's a case for UNC, there's a case for TCU or USC.
Yeah, I mean, if TCU goes undefeated, they're going to be in, and they should be, in my opinion. The thing about North Carolina is, that Notre Dame loss is looking better and better, and Notre Dame, I think, has got a pretty good chance to beat USC the way they've been playing the last couple weeks, especially with the way the USC defense is, basically just Swiss cheese. But another one, guys, because to me, the 2 most important players to their team are Drake May and Caleb Williams. If you take both of them off, those are probably 500 teams when you really look at it. I mean, especially North Carolina. But as far as North Carolina making the playoff, if they handle business against Georgia Tech, which they should, and they beat NC State, it's unfortunate for them that NC State lost to Boston College to knock them out of the top 25. But then they go beat Clemson, there's a chance they could get into the playoff. And I think they would take a one-loss ACC champ, whether that's Clemson or North Carolina, unfortunately, over a one-loss Tennessee team that didn't win their division, even though I think Tennessee is the better team. It's so crazy right now, guys. There's so many different scenarios that can go on, but what I'm really watching is, obviously, Michigan and Ohio State is going to kind of take care of itself, and that's the last regular game of the season. So if it comes down to a one-loss Michigan who loses to Ohio State or a one-loss Ohio State who loses to Michigan against a one-loss Tennessee, Tennessee is going to get in because of where they are in the rankings, and their loss was earlier, and it's the best loss you can possibly have. Right now, you cannot have a better loss than what Tennessee has. Even Michigan losing at Ohio State is not technically as good of a loss, if there is such thing, as Tennessee losing at Georgia. But if you're a Tennessee fan, you're a huge UCLA fan this week.
Yeah.
You're going to be a huge Georgia fan during SEC Championship week.
You are.
And you really hope that either North Carolina or Clemson loses a regular season game, and that team with 2 losses wins the ACC championship. Either that or you got to hope TCU loses, which looking right now, the best shot, in my opinion, at TCU losing is probably going to be in the Big 12 championship game against Kansas State because Baylor and Blake Shapen, really, they're having a problem turning the ball over. Defensively, they're not what they were last year. And then Iowa State, Matt Campbell may be the most overrated coach in college football. I'm so sick of hearing Matt Campbell's name for big jobs when he's done nothing at Iowa State. He's done absolutely nothing outside of 1 year at Iowa State, and everybody acts like this guy's Snoop Rockney. So if you're a Tennessee fan, that's kind of how you're hoping it falls.
If North Carolina does stay alive and puts themselves in name consideration, it will be because of their quarterback, Drake May. And if Drake May, I did not realize Drake May has had the season that he has had.
Oh, he's had a tremendous year.
We just went over the numbers and everything. And Jake, those numbers are, if those are outstanding numbers, does he have any shot at taking home the Heisman if North Carolina is able to get through Clemson?
Yes, I legitimately think he does. And look, you have two of your biggest tests coming up, like you guys mentioned. NC State is pretty daggum good on defense still. And then Clemson, we know defensively, while they haven't been what we thought they were going to be this year, they're still very solid defensively. They did just lose one of their best DBs, unfortunate for him with a groin injury. But yes, Drake May can for sure win the Heisman. Another guy too, guys, Blake Corum.
Yes, we talked about him.
Now. Yeah. Against Illinois, I think he's going to have some good numbers, even though I love Ryan Walters, their young DC over there. And then against Ohio State, if that weather is bad, which it has been before, it was last year, which is a huge advantage to Michigan when you look at the way the rosters are built and their identity. And Blake Corum goes for $150 and 2 scores and has a big Heisman moment against Ohio State. We may have a chance that a non-quarterback can win the Heisman this year.
Yeah, I do think that's possible. We were talking about how wide open the Heisman is because if Tennessee were still number one and undefeated, Hendon Hooker would be the runaway, but they lose significantly to Georgia. And I just don't think that Stetson Bennett, he hasn't played consistently enough. He's had a good year. I don't think he's had a Heisman-type year. And then C.J. Stroud and Blake Corum, whoever wins that game is going to take a huge step forward.
Yeah, Stetson's numbers just aren't there right now. Now, that's not to say that he couldn't come out these last 3, 4. I mean, heck, for Georgia, you're looking at it, they still pretty much could have a total of, 3, 4, 5 games left. So he still can, cement his name. I know they give the Heisman away a little bit earlier than the national championship game, but there still is time. But he's going to have to put up some absolutely goofy numbers and have some huge moments down the stretch. And to be honest with you guys, the way Georgia's playing right now, I don't know if he's going to need to have a Heisman moment. LSU, it's a great story, but so is Hansel and Gretel and Red Riding Hood, and we know how that ended.
Mm-hmm. We certainly do. And so now, speaking of how something's going to end, we were going to ask you about this. We do each and every week. Is it still Lane Kiffin's job to turn down for Auburn in your mind?
Yeah, I think he's the number one target. I think anybody that's telling you they know what Lane Kiffin's going to do is going to try and sell you some beachfront property in Kansas after that. I don't think anybody outside of Jimmy Sexton and Lane Kiffin know what Lane Kiffin's going to do. He's a wild card. But I think there's as good of a chance as ever. And I'm not going to go out on a limb and say I think he's going to be the guy because typically the first guy you hear that's going to get it never gets it. And I'm trying to get Hugh Freeze in there. I think he'd be a better fit.
Really?
I do
Freeze
too.
A better fit than Lane Kiffin.
I believe that too, Scott. I agree with Jake.
Couple reasons. One, Hugh Freeze isn't trying to go to the NFL.
Okay.
Make no mistake. I think Lane deep down wants to go back to the NFL. And he's a lot cheaper. All right, it's a $2.5 million buyout, and you don't got to go give the farm to Hugh Freeze. He wants back on Broadway. Another thing, Hugh Freeze has beaten Nick Saban twice. He's beaten Georgia and every other team in the SEC. So there's a lot of boxes that Hugh checks. And I laugh because people are like, oh, no, Hugh Freeze has too much baggage. Oh, but give me Lane Kiffin. Okay, guys, but does anybody remember Joey Freshwater?
Yeah, there you go.
Forget about all that stuff. I know what Hugh did was more egregious. I get that, but I think he's paid his dues. I think he's a guy that would want to be at Auburn forever, and he's as hungry as he can possibly get. He knows the lay of the land in recruiting. He knows what it takes to beat Nick Saban. Hell, he beat him with Bo Wallace. So at the end of the day, I think Hugh Freeze is the best fit.
Yeah, we keep talking about...
And Bruce Pearl was too, and Bruce Pearl had baggage.
And we keep talking about head coaches.
Yeah.
And we keep talking about head coaches. Hugh Freeze, Lane Kiffin. These are proven coaches. Does Auburn take a gamble and get someone like an offensive coordinator that's not been a head coach, or is this pretty much a John Cohen decision that I'm going to get a proven head coach?
Yeah, you can't miss on this one. You can't take that risk. You got to go get a guy that's done it. You got to get a guy that you know. And there's some positive momentum for Auburn right now with what Carnell Williams has done, and you know, kind of getting back on track after so much negativity. But yeah, because look, if you're John Cohen, you're looking around Auburn. You're not going to be making another big hire anytime soon, buddy. I mean, Bruce Pearl's not going anywhere. Butch Thompson, the only place he's going to Omaha every year. And speaking of Bruce Pearl, yeah, he had baggage, but he could run for mayor of Auburn right now. And get 110%
easily.
of the vote.
I mean, right now, I know. Trust me, if they get football turned around, it'll be a football school again. But right now, you could call Auburn a basketball school.
Well, Bruce Pearl, and
I'm not saying that in derogatory fashion either.
Bruce Pearl can say anything right now, and Bruce Pearl has said anything. I mean, he said stuff that's not basketball related, and it's fine.
For sure, because look, winning cures everything. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're winning, I mean, especially at a place that has such a high standard. And guys, can you imagine though, if it was Lane Kiffin and Bruce Pearl on the same campus? I don't know, that would may break the space-time continuum.
It may very well. And we're talking to Jake Crane and Company. You also tweeted you think this is the biggest trap game weekend in college football.
Yeah, oh my goodness. This is the one. There's a lot of coaches of teams that are contending that have just been staring up at the ceiling fan with the blanket pulled over their nose, hoping the players will take them seriously. Because here's the thing. When the players see the film, it's hard to get players to not believe their lying eyes. It's really hard to do that. And it's hard to get guys up for every game, especially when you're looking at that next week and you're like, all right, we got our big rival for a chance to go to the show. That's where the veteran leadership on your team, the older players, that's where you've beaten into their heads. It's about us, not them. It doesn't matter if we're playing Alabama or Alabama A&M. It's about us. This is the maturity factor. But do not be shocked if a top team goes down this weekend because the players are looking ahead and the coaches don't want to give anything new away or any wrinkles off the wrinkles to a team they feel like they're superior then. So it is, you know, you have Black Friday. This one's Black Saturday for coaches because you're scared to death that season's going to get ruined at the hands of a team that you would beat any other time of the year.
What about this USC-UCLA matchup? I know it's not one of those. I mean, they both should have each other's attention. But USC has been just picked apart because of their schedule, their play, and everything. Is their run over after Saturday?
I think it is. I think UCLA is unbelievably embarrassed after the way they played against Arizona. Speaking about trap game, guys.
There you go.
Look at the way UCLA played last weekend.
Yeah.
DTR, Zach Charbonnet, they are a physical offense, and USC's defense was surviving off other teams' mistakes for a long time this year, and USC is going to get their chance. Look, you're playing a UCLA team on the road that's quality. You're playing a Notre Dame team that's, you know, hotter than a fat kid in the first sleeping bag at summer camp right now. So you're going to have, and then you have the Pac-12 championship game. So USC's going to have a chance, but I don't think they beat UCLA this weekend. Give me UCLA on the money line. I think it's plus 110 right now.
Yeah, it's going to be really fascinating to see what happens in that game. We've got, and I know that a lot of eyes are going to be on it, no question about it. And you know, I haven't been a believer in the Pac-12. I think they're improved, but I still don't think they're going to get anyone to the playoff. Jake, as far as the playoff rankings right now, though, what kind of shot does the ACC have to get anyone in? Because we've made a case for North Carolina with you right now, but Clemson's still there. But I haven't been a big believer in the ACC. But how do things have to shake out for them?
Yeah, I actually think the Pac-12 is better than the ACC.
I do too.
Maybe not not at the top, but as a full conference.
Yes.
I mean, who in the ACC outside of really, you know, Clemson, North Carolina, and what, Wake Forest?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm looking out there at the Pac-12. USC's scary, UCLA's scary, Oregon's scary.
Washington.
Washington's scary. I think that they're deeper. Oregon State's very sneaky. Arizona's coming on. I mean, Miami's a dumpster fire. I guess you could say Florida State right now is playing quality ball, and they do have that win over LSU. So while it's close, I would give the edge to the Pac-12, believe it or not. But But I think Clemson, if they win out, guys, I think it's going to be tough for the committee to keep them out. I know DJU looks like he's regressing, and that defense, like I said earlier, hasn't been as elite as what we thought. But I think if Clemson wins out, especially if TCU loses, if TCU loses and Clemson wins out, Clemson will be in. That's why if I'm Tennessee, I'm looking at the ACC and just, wishing nothing but bad things on the top team.
Does that surprise you about DJU there at Clemson on how much it seems like he is regressing as a quarterback?
Surprised? No, I was more surprised that he was playing well for a couple weeks, to be honest with you. Like, at some point, there's an old saying, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. I mean, there's a big enough sample size on DJU. I mean, we know who he is. And he's Clemson's best option right now. Cade Klubnik just doesn't seem like he's ready yet. I think he does have a pretty high ceiling. But no, I am not surprised that DJU's struggling.
Yeah, well, you're certainly not struggling, and Crane & Company is growing every day. Let everybody know how to follow your show, and we always appreciate your takes as you come on with us each week.
Guys, I love coming on. Y'all know y'all do a hell of a job. Yeah, man, just go on your computer or your phone, which is, I guess, basically a computer. Go to YouTube, type in CRAIN and Company. You can find us. We just had Aaron Murray on today, Tom Luganville yesterday, had Jeff Foxworthy recently. So, yeah, we're talking everything, college football, NFL, Major League Baseball, Quidditch, if it's important. So come check us out.
Yeah, Jake,
you got to help us, though, here. We've had this talk, though, for the last 48 hours. In-N-Out Burger versus the Whataburger. Not versus, but how in are you on the In-N-Out Burger?
I've never had it.
Look, when we went out and played San Diego State, I was blessed with the ability to go try In-N-Out Burger. While it wasn't as elite as what I thought, the animal sauce does put it over the top.
Oh, here we go.
I will say, they both have good hidden menus, including Whataburger. When next time you go to Whataburger and you ask for a drink, ask for the Hulk.
The Hulk. I've never heard of this.
Well, you don't know the handshake either, Drew. So
we got a handshake now. There we go.
The Hulk.
Yeah.
We've learned something new today.
Thank you, Jake. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Y'all be good.
All right, thanks, Jake.
The Hulk. Now I'm fascinated by this. What the hell is that?
You're going. Bailey's eyes lit up, too. I saw him. I saw you as soon as he said that.
I mean, just from the name alone, I got to try this. I got no idea what's in it.
And the handshake either. Like, what?
Okay, we've learned something. Okay, we'll research all this. Let's get this break in. Tomorrow's headlines today when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Sounds like that wreck on the Parkway south of Winchester is going to be either a no injury or just a minor injury. No entrapment reported. It's a single vehicle off the road. And we got a wreck 72 in Jefferson and Athens. It should be clearing now. Everything else looks good. Just a lot of folks scrambling trying to get in on time this morning. Snelling has openings for service schedulers and client service reps. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-737-9944. That's 1-800-737-9944. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-737-9944. That's 1-800-737-9944.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Hey there, folks. Bob Baumhauer here. We're celebrating 40 legendary years here at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. And to kick this off, we're coming in hot with our all-new Alabama Hot Chicken. Fresh southern fried chicken breast smothered in a blend of tangy, immune-boosting herbs and spices with a spicy finish. Served up with a side of homemade smoked Gouda cheese grits, Miss Mary southern greens, and garlic bread. And there's plenty more where that came from. Stop in today and celebrate with us. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
I'm number 2. Pick 2 Friday on The Drive is brought to you by Humphrey's Bar and Grill.
I mean, this wouldn't happen on the Wheel of Fortune.
Call into The Drive each Friday for your chance to win on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. We have learned what the Hulk is from Whataburger.
It scares me a little bit.
It should scare you. It is created by filling a cup of ice to an eighth to a fourth full of Powerade.
Yeah.
And adding Volt soda to your cup.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It creates a green
drink
it looks like the
Hulk. Yeah, it's green. Yeah.
And it does turn your tongue green, apparently.
Oh, Lord.
So there you go. That is what the Hulk is. That's what Jake Crane told us to get when we go to Whataburger. So I'll be skipping that one, by the way.
Yeah.
256-576-4977. If you want to join the program, you want to join the show this morning. Coming up tonight, you do get NFL football. The Tennessee Titans traveling to take on the Green Bay Packers tonight in an NFL game. Green Bay sitting at a 3-point favorite in Lambeau Field. And I want to see something real fast. If you think it's chilly here, the forecast there right now is 31 degrees right now in Green Bay in Lambeau Field. 31 degrees. It's 36 degrees here right now. So we are almost as cold as the frozen tundra.
My hands were hurting last night, man. I'm telling you, it was some frozen tundra last night when you had to pick up some dinner. Yeesh.
It's only going to get worse.
You.
And I believe Friday night you've got to be on top of the box for that.
I'm looking
Randolph
forward to the game, man. Can't wait to call, but I got to get some gloves, brother.
Gloves? You need to get those
take some gloves, man.
You need to get those little heater things or those little hot pocket things that you can
and
put
I don't know,
your hands.
my partner Austin Coletti, I don't think he does very well in the cold either, so I don't know. We're going to be two bundled up dudes.
I want to see what the forecast will be.
Can't
right
wait
now,
to talk to David Lloyd tomorrow, though.
Right now, if the game was tonight, at kickoff, it'd be 33 degrees.
Maybe, hey, Blake Davenport, man, I love you. I know you're going to have some kind of heater or something, right? I mean, hopefully.
If you need one, Drew.
Our buddy Ryan, I think
he's some Carhartts.
Our video guy, he's going to need a heater. We're going to need some heaters, man.
Get you some Carhartts.
Carhartt? What is a Carhartt? What the hell are we talking about now? We're talking about green drinks called the Hulk that would probably give me a heart attack. Who knows?
Oh, Carhartt. You gotta know what they are.
Oh, Lord.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville.
Our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor